Consumers Energy is undertaking a major tree clearing initiative across Michigan in 2025 to strengthen the electric grid and reduce power outages. The utility company plans to trim or remove trees along more than 8,000 miles of power lines statewide. The aggressive effort is part of Consumers Energy's Reliability Roadmap, which is about preventing tree-related outages before they happen. Trees and branches hitting power lines are the leading causes of outages, accounting for roughly 40% of all interruptions. By clearing vegetation near lines, the company aims to keep the lights on during storms and improve service reliability for homes and businesses across the state. The tree clearing work will span Consumers Energy's service territory, which covers large portions of Michigan's lower peninsula and western communities. Communities in northern and western Michigan are seeing significant activity. For example, Manistee County in northwest Michigan is slated to have over 85 miles of lines cleared in 2025, though that's down from 245 miles in 2024. While neighboring Benzie County will have about 125 miles cleared, up from just 35 miles last year. In the Traverse City area, Consumers Energy has targeted corridors like the Old Mission Peninsula, where hundreds of trees could be removed under this plan. Work is also ongoing in other parts of the state. Essentially, any place where overgrown trees pose a high risk to power lines is a focus. The company says crews are concentrating on high priority areas, spots prone to outages from vegetation, to make the most impact. This initiative represents a significant financial commitment by Consumers Energy. Each mile of power line cleared costs the utility company about $15,000, covering labor, equipment, and debris removal. With 8,000 miles on the schedule for this year, that implies roughly a $120 million investment in 2025 to trim and remove trees statewide. By comparison, Consumers Energy spent about $100 million on tree trimming in 2024 when it cleared 7,000 miles of lines. Company officials frame this spending as crucial infrastructure investment. They consider vegetation management just as important as upgrading poles or wires for improving reliability. The Michigan Public Service Commission, or MPSC, which regulates utilities, has pressured companies to increase these efforts after massive outages in recent years. In fact, following severe storms that left hundreds of thousands without power, state leaders, including Governor Gretchen Whitmer, called on utility companies to invest more in tree trimming and grid hardening to prevent repeat disasters. Consumers Energy's 2025 budget for line clearing is a direct response to that call, aimed at showing they are using funds to tackle one of the root causes of the outages. Despite the reliability goal, the tree clearing push has raised several environmental and community concerns among some residents and experts. Homeowners in affected areas worry that removing trees will dramatically alter the local landscape and the ecosystems. On Traverse City's Old Mission Peninsula, for instance, residents fear the loss of hundreds of trees could transform the look and feel of their properties and neighborhoods. Trees provide shade, they provide beauty, and wildlife habitat, not to mention the clean air. So taking them down en masse feels like a serious trade-off to those who live there. Some environmental advocates emphasize the need to balance reliability with conservation. They urge that only truly hazardous limbs be removed and that healthy trees be preserved whenever possible. There are also calls for utility companies to consider burying power lines or other solutions in certain areas to avoid harming mature trees, though such measures can be far more costly and are not part of Consumers Energy's current plan. The company insists it is conducting line clearing in an environmentally responsible manner, working with certified arborists and aiming to promote a healthier remaining tree canopy by removing only what's necessary. Sounds like a lot of corporate speak to me. Consumers Energy's forestry team coordinates with landowners ahead of time, and the utility says it tries to replant or replace trees in some cases to mitigate the environmental impact. Still, the scale of this initiative has left some residents uneasy about potential loss of greenery in their communities. Reactions to the 2025 trimming blitz have been mixed. Many residents support the goal of fewer outages, but are unhappy with how the process affects their property. In areas like Old Mission Peninsula, homeowners have pushed back strongly. They accuse Consumers Energy of aggressive tactics, such as threatening eminent domain lawsuits to obtain new easements for removing trees on private land. A group of neighbors there is even banding together and considering legal action to challenge the extent of the tree removals. Elsewhere, some neighborhood associations and city officials have sought more communication and transparency from the company. Consumers Energy has responded by increasing outreach, holding community meetings, and sending forestry planners door to door to explain the work. Company spokespeople acknowledge that tree trimming has an impact for homeowners, and they say they are willing to adjust plans whenever possible after listening to local concerns. Environmental organizations have also taken note. While no major environmental group has formally opposed the initiative's goals, there is a general sentiment among conservationists that utilities should proceed with caution. Tree advocacy groups stress the importance of urban and rural tree canopies for climate and quality of life. And they encourage practices like trimming instead of just removal and planting new trees to replace those lost. These voices urge long-term planning so that power lines and trees can coexist with minimal conflict. For regulators and government officials, the immediate priority is reliability. The MPSC and Governor's Office, after repeated outages, largely support Consumers Energy's intensified trimming schedule as a necessary step. In fact, the MPSC has put both consumers and DTE Energy on notice that if they don't improve reliability, they could face penalties in the future. This pressure has somewhat tilted the balance in favor of aggressive tree maintenance, despite the complaints. Consumers Energy leadership emphasizes that they have an obligation to keep the grid safe. In short, stakeholders are divided. Customers want fewer blackouts, but nobody likes losing trees. The conversation continues as the project moves forward, with some compromises and adjustments likely on a case-by-case basis. Consumers Energy expects this tree clearing initiative to significantly improve power reliability across Michigan. By removing overhanging limbs and trees that could knock down lines, the utility company is proactively preventing outages before they occur. Internal data already show positive results where intensive tree trimming has been done in recent years. Fewer outages and shorter power interruptions have been reported in areas after crews cleared the lines. In fact, the company noted that customers experienced about 21 fewer minutes of outage time on average last year, thanks in part to increased tree trimming maintenance, and over 93% of outages were restored within 24 hours. Those numbers underscore the reliability gains attributed to aggressive vegetation management. Consumers Energy likens the effort to a form of insurance. Tough Michigan weather is less likely to take down power lines if they are cleared. Officials also point out that line clearing is one of the most effective steps they can take immediately, compared to long-term projects like rebuilding our infrastructure. Residents in some hard-hit neighborhoods are already noticing improvements as well. In Grand Rapids, a local trouble spot nicknamed the Bermuda Triangle of frequent outages saw none in the weeks after nearby trees were cut back. So while it's too early to declare victory, the expectation is fewer fallen branches will mean fewer emergency repairs and more resilient grid. Consumers Energy says the tree clearing is being combined with other reliability measures, upgrading equipment and even selectively burying some lines in the worst areas to fortify our system. If successful, this 2025 program could mark a turning point, reducing the kind of extended blackouts Michigan residents endured in recent summers and winters. Utility executives acknowledge Michigan's dense tree cover is part of its natural beauty, but they are betting that a careful, large-scale trimming campaign now will spare the state from larger catastrophes when the next ice storm or wind event hits. In summary, the 2025 Tree Clearing Initiative is a proactive gamble to trade some green in order to keep the power on, aiming for a sturdier electric grid with far fewer outages.